declaring the end from the beginning. We did a class about 2 weeks ago dealing with the creation. And what we showed in the creation was how God created the heavens and the earth, and what type of time span that was. That took about 6,000 years from the time he created the heavens to he created man. When you go into the Bible, it shows you, especially in Psalms chapter 8, that he has given dominion of this earth to man. Then in that same creation class of declaring the end from the beginning, we saw from the day man was created to the coming of Jesus. So what we're going to look at now, though, we're going to fill in that gap. So if you recall in that creation class, you know, we saw on the first day he did the light. On the second day he did, what did he do, firmament or something to that effect. Or then on the third day he moved the, he moved the earth so that it was formed. And on the fourth day he did the sun and the moon. And on the fifth day he did the fishes and the birds. The sixth day he did man. And once he put man here, it was like, all right, now rule over this earth. So with that being said, the title again, declaring the end from the beginning. So what we're going to find out is that even in the Bible, which this will be our beginning now, just the Bible in itself, he's going to give you the whole rulership of this world from the beginning of time all the way to his return, which is what we're considering the end. All right? So declaring the end from the beginning. See, that's why we know that this Bible is the book. See, when you go to the Quran, or when you go to the Book of Mormon, or when you go to the Holy Tablets, what's some other books out there? Whatever all these books, the Book of the Dead, all these other books that they got out there, they can't declare the end from the beginning. They can't tell you what's going to happen before it happens. That's what we're talking about here. All right? Now, looking at the second part of this class, who asked y'all, please turn your cell phones off, put them on vibrate. You got to cut them off, put them on vibrate. Second part of this class, the Great Mystery, Babylon. All right, now everybody done heard about Babylon. You know, they got poetry. There's a famous poet, James Weldon Johnson, and he wrote a book called God's Trombone, and it's a book of sermons. I actually happen to own the book. It's a book of sermons, and from back in the day, the country preachers, kind of like how Isaiah 28:29 said, "I wasn't learned." Well, it was them kind of preachers, and they would preach these sermons, and one of the sermons was about Babylon. And how, Babylon ain't got no love for you. Babylon this and so. So Babylon is a term that's commonly known in our society, but it's a mystery to who Babylon truly is. See, I done heard, and we even addressed it here a couple weeks ago, oh, Babylon is America. But we're going to find out that America is inside of Babylon. Babylon consists of also America. But when we start talking about Babylon, the great, this mother of harlots, as we're going to find out, what we're going to find out is that it sits on two platforms. One, it sits on a geographical location, and there were people there in this geographical location that ruled the world. You know, if you watch the movie Alexander the Great, his mama was telling him, well, you need to be ruling out of Babylon. Now we understand, and we understand looking at the map, and we'll look at the map real quick, that Babylon, and we talk, well, Israel is here. This is the center of the world. We ain't going to count this side. This side came late. We ain't going to count this side. This is the center of the world over here, though. This is what we call the Middle East. But Babylon sits north of it. And we're going to see that in a minute. As we get into the class, we're going to really get an understanding and an idea of, what's going on. So Babylon is where the world was ruled from during the time, basically, from Ham all the way first. We're going to break all this down. And then we're going to find out that Israel ruled the world for a minute, and then the Gentile ruled the world. And the Gentile ruler of the world was Nebuchadnezzar. But what we're going to read today is that Nebuchadnezzar was to be the ruler of the world, and all the kings of the earth was going to attach themselves unto Nebuchadnezzar. This is that Babylon that we're going to deal with today. And we're going to run that Babylon all the way down to today and find out where and who is this Babylon. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start this off as Isaiah chapter 48. And again, declaring the end from the beginning, the great mystery, Babylon. And I did have to condense the class. I was talking to Brother Nate. I was talking about giving y'all the intermission. And that's how many scriptures I had. But I was able to get it to where we should be able to run it within 2 hours. But I'm not going to rush. Isaiah chapter 48. And we're going to pick this up in verse 1. And we're going to read verse 1 through 7. When you get there, go ahead and read it.
Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah, which swear by the name of the Lord, and make mention of God of Israel, but not in truth, nor in righteousness.
Go ahead.
For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name.
So when God deal and talk with people, he talk and deal with Israel first. And Israel is supposed to spread this message out to the whole rest of the world. Because, you know, the title again is dealing with Babylon. But notice here, we started off talking to Israel. Go ahead and read some more.
I have declared the former things from the beginning.
So notice what he said. I have declared before. This is God. This is the God of God. The God that gave Moses the 10 Commandments. They took the children of Israel out of Egypt. He said, I have declared the former things from the beginning. Go ahead.
And they went forth out of my mouth, and I showed them.
Go ahead.
And I did them suddenly.
See, can't nobody else God do this, brothers and sisters. This is how we know that we dealing with the true and living God, because we deal with a God that can tell us what's going to happen. And that's what we're going to learn today. All right, so we're not going to read. We'll let you read the rest of that on your own. So we're going to go right to the meat of the class. Revelation chapter 17. Because this is where that Babylon and common terms come from. It comes from this Revelation 17. You know, I mean, we done heard of Babylon before. And when I say we done heard of it before, because, you know, they even got movies and stuff. Babylon. You know, so we done heard of this term, but we're going to find out where it comes from, and then we're going to get to understand this great mystery. Revelation chapter 17, and we're going to pick this up in verse 1. So when you get there, go ahead and read.
And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials.
So the messages that was sent in the book of Revelations came from an angel, and it was given to John, the Revelator. Alright? So this is all what John sees every time we read anything in this mysterious book of Revelation. You know, the book that don't nobody want to go and read. Go ahead.
And talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
And we're going to learn about this great whore that sitteth upon many waters. You know, we're going to learn about her today. Go ahead.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication.
Go ahead.
So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast. So
we're going to learn about all this today. We're going to learn about this woman that's on the scarlet-colored beast. We're going to learn about the fact that the inhabitants have been made drunk with this cup that this woman was holding. Everything that we see in this chapter, we're going to clearly be able to understand. But keep reading.
Full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color.
Go ahead.
And decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
Go ahead.
And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great.
So notice what we got here. On this woman's head, this is where this Babylon come from that we so commonly hear about. Out of this Revelation chapter 17, and it said Mystery, Babylon the Great. Go ahead.
The mother of harlots and of abominations of the earth.
So that's what we're going to learn about today, brothers and sisters. We're going to learn about this mystery, this Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. It's calling her the mother of harlots because we're going to find out today she is the mother of all these churches out here that has given us this false doctrine. So she's the mother of harlots and the abomination of the earth. Because what she has, this great Babylon right here has given us all the abominations that we got. We're going to see some of that today. So let's move on over here to Genesis chapter 11. We're going to pick this up at the origin of Babylon. Genesis chapter 11. Because like we said, we're talking about declaring the end at the beginning. So we're going all the way back here to Genesis. And what we understand is that Noah had 3 sons. See, everybody that ever exists on the face of this planet at this point comes from one of the 3 sons of Noah. The 3 sons that he had was Shem, Japheth, and Ham. So, you know, we going Adam and Eve, everybody came from Adam and Eve. But then we commonly know of this great flood where Noah, his wife, his 3 sons, and their wives managed to get saved from this flood. Okay, the rest of the world was destroyed. Now, after the flood, the men started to repopulate the earth. Alright? So we're going to pick this up at Genesis chapter 11. And we're going to find out here. what happened? Who was the first ruler of this world? Go ahead. Genesis 11, pick it up at verse 1.
And the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there.
All right. So it says here, we got a location now. So it said, and the whole earth was of one language and one speech. This is after Noah. And he said, and it came to pass as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Brothers and sisters, this Shinar is over here. And I know this is it might be a little difficult for some of y'all to see this. But this is the Middle East right here. Alright? You got Egypt. First of all, this is America. This is North and South America over here. So you got Egypt. Everybody kind of know Egypt. Nile River runs through Egypt. Then you got, here go Iran and Iraq. You know, I'm giving you names of places because these are some of the places that we actually dealt with in the news. Alright? So you got Saudi Arabia, Israel, and then up here above Israel, north of Israel, between Iran, Turkey, and Iraq is where Shinar is. Alright? Shinar is where these people started their civilization from. Alright? This is between what's called the Tigris and Euphrates River. See, all civilization in mankind got to start off by some river. You know, it's just like even in America, you know, they didn't get past the Mississippi at first. You know, the rivers and the water that was keeping them alive was the ocean and the Mississippi. And everything was built based off of that to start with. Well, that's how the world was started. It was based off the Tigris and the Euphrates River, and then it moved down toward the Nile River. And when the Chinese started their civilization, it went to the Yellow River. You know, civilization start off with water, because you got to be able to fertilize your grass and eat. So it said it came to pass that they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Let's skip over to verse 4. Go ahead.
And they said, Go to, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Go ahead.
And the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of men built. And the Lord said, Behold, the people is one, and they have all one language, and this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, which they have imagined to do. Alright,
so pay attention as we learn something on the way of learning something. When the world is one, it's nothing that man can't do. And that's just like right now. If you understand what's going on, the world is one. You know, and I use this analogy all the time, and this was about 10 years ago. That was about 15 years ago. I sat and played chess with a Russian. By the way, yes, he kicked my butt. But we was on the internet. And we actually held a conversation. Because I realized when I told him I lived in Georgia that I had to make clear that we was talking about the United States. You know, but we sat there and we talked, you know, because now this internet made it to where we can communicate because we won. Well, we used to be one way back in the day before this scene here. Alright? And the Lord, what he's going to do here is he's seeing that man is trying to build this city, and as long as we won, it's nothing we don't imagine to do that we won't accomplish. And that's what's going on right now. That's why we got cell phones, and I can be riding down the street. Or better yet, we got a cell phone, and me and Brother Harvey can be about to hit a deer, and the whole world know about it in 5 minutes after it happened. Right. You know, because we won now. It's nothing that we can't imagine to do. And we don't set our minds to it. I'm looking at a plane right now. He's about to take off from the ground. He couldn't do that then. Alright, so the Lord look at this and he's like, man, you know, these men down here tripping, man. They don't tell them what they gonna put their mind to do. You know, they we're gonna be like Star Trek. We're gonna be teleported. You know, so he's like, nah, we're gonna stop this. Go ahead, read some more.
Go to, let us go down and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech.
Go ahead.
So the Lord scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city.
So they stopped building this city that they had started building over here in Shinar. Go ahead, read this next verse.
Therefore is the name of it called Babel.
So this is where this name come from, Babylon, which is the land of Babel. This is what this city that they built. And Babylon literally means confusion. That's what that word Babylon means, because we see here that the Lord had confused the languages here. Go ahead, read a little more.
Because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, And from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth.
All right, so now we're going to go here to our Bible, our Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. All right, and we're going to look up this word Babylon. And see, sometimes what we do, because we see that the Lord declared the end at the beginning, sometimes we go into our history and we see things and we can see, oh, well, the Bible showed us this and the Bible showed us that. So we don't take the history books to prove the Bible per se. We just take the history books so we can get a clearer understanding of what we're reading in the Bible. So don't let history confuse you. Because in some of these history books, you might see they got the Neanderthal man. The Bible don't talk about that. So you just X that off. But some things in history we know to be fact. So we're going to look at this here, and we're going to read Babylon. And just go ahead and start reading Babylon from the start.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. We in Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary under Babylon, page 67. Go ahead.
Babylon, Greek, form of Babel, name of city and country of which it was the capital.
Go ahead.
First mentioned in Genesis 10:10.
Uh-huh.
Hammurabi became ruler in the 18th century.
All right, so Hammurabi was one of the Nimrod, as we're gonna see, because we're gonna look at the Genesis 10. He's the first ruler in this place that we call Babylon. All right, he's the first ruler of the world that we got. All right, but Hammurabi is a more common name in history books, and Hammurabi is basically, when we start looking at our laws are based off of what is called the Hammurabi Code. But if you understand the name that you're looking at, Ham is his name is Hammurabi. He's coming from the tribe of Ham. The original Babylonians came from Ham. They were black people. All right, they were a dark race of people. But as the Bible dictionary would say, but not the Negro. All right, that's what the same Bible dictionary would say. Ham is a black race of people, but not the Negro. But go ahead and read some more.
Reaching height of power under Nebuchadnezzar.
All right, so now it said talking about Babylon, and at first it gave you, the Bible first gives you Nimrod. We're going to see that shortly. But this Bible dictionary gave you Hammurabi, and it took you to Nebuchadnezzar. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to show you the switch over to Nebuchadnezzar as well. From the Hamite nation to the Gentile nation dealing with this Babylon. All right? But go ahead, read some more.
Conquered by Cyrus of Persia in 539 BC. Often mentioned in prophecy. Famous for hanging gardens.
Okay, that's good. So we got a couple names here. We're going to take this down and we're going to make sure we get some of these names up here. We found Cyrus there, dealt with Babylon, and of course we found Nebuchadnezzar. We dealt with that, please. So we're going to make sure we put, and what was the date that we get for Cyrus?
That was 539.
All right, we got 539 for Cyrus. Cause we're gonna deal with him in a little bit. And while I'm taking care of this board, we're gonna turn over to Genesis chapter 10, and I want you to go ahead and start reading that next verse there. Wherever we got on the paper, Genesis 10 and verse 10. Go ahead.
And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. Out of the land went forth Ashur, and built Nineveh.
All right, so Nineveh is the city in Shinar. Okay, so this is. Go ahead, read some more.
And the city Rehoboth and Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah. The same is a great city. And Mizraim begat Ludum.
Wait a minute, what verse did you start at?
I started at 10.
Oh, I'm sorry, I started verse 8. Go ahead.
And Cush begat Nimrod.
So Cush was the son of Ham. You know, if you go to verse 6, and the sons of Ham was Cush, Mizraim, Phut, and Canaan. Mizraim would be Egypt. Cush would be your Ethiopians. All right. So then he said that Cush begat Nimrod. So Nimrod is the first dude that we're gonna deal with. All right. Over here in this land of Shinar. Go ahead.
He was a mighty hunter before the Lord.
So we got Nimrod, and he was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Go ahead.
Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel.
So you see here in verse 10, it says in the beginning of his kingdom is Babel, which we understand looking in the history book ends up being Babylon. So the first king that we got here mentioned in the Bible as an individual, he comes from Ham, and his name is Nimrod. And he ruled over Shinar, which is actually Babel, or Babylon. Alright? I think I did that right. Alright. So now let's go on over here to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Alright? Because we jumping now. So the first king and the first rulership on this planet Earth was under Ham. And Nimrod ruled, and he ruled in Shinar, or he ruled in the city of Nineveh, which is all Babylon. This is your origin of Babylon, according to the history books and according to the Bible. Alright, so some years later, through the process of time, the children of Israel, they come from Shem, from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they go down into Mizraim, or down into Egypt. We commonly know the story. Every Easter they're going to show you on TV the Ten Commandments. That's the same story. Children of Israel was down in Egypt. He's going to take them out of Egypt. When he takes them out of Egypt, he brings the children of Israel down to the wilderness. He tells them, I'm going to establish you and make you a great kingdom, great nation. And he does that. They have kings like David. They have kings like Solomon. All the children of Israel have to continue to do is to keep the commandments, but they don't. Deuteronomy 28, let's pick it up at verse 36. So when you get there, go ahead and read it.
The Lord shall bring thee, and thy king which thou shalt set over thee.
So he's talking to the children of Israel here. And he's saying the Lord is going to bring you and your children that he set over you. Go ahead.
Unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
So he's saying to the children of Israel, I'm going to bring a nation upon you that you don't even know nothing about, nor your fathers. And when you get there, you're going to serve gods with wood and stone. This is that Babylonian empire that we're going to learn about very shortly. Go ahead.
And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee.
And where he going to lead us is into Babylon. This is where the children of Israel are going to be. So let's go over to now, let's go over here to Isaiah 23 real quick. We're going to read this one verse here. Isaiah 23. I guess I left the verse out when it said that we was going to be in the north, but I ain't going to worry about it. It said the country was going to come from the north, but we ain't going to deal with that. So we're going to go over to Isaiah 23, and we're going to look at this one verse here. Isaiah chapter 23, and we're going to look at verse 13. When you get there, go ahead and read it.
Behold, the land of the Chaldeans, this people was not.
Alright, so pay this attention. It says the land of the Chaldeans. Chaldean is a Gentile nation. Alright, so he said this people was not or didn't exist. Go ahead.
Till the Assyrian founded it for them that dwell in the wilderness.
The Assyrian was really the descendants of Ham. Alright, so he said the Assyrians founded the land of Chaldea for them. But go ahead, read some more.
They set up the towers thereof. They raised up the palaces thereof, and he brought it to ruin. Okay,
so what we finding out here in this particular verse is that this would be your switch from your Ham ruling over Babylon to your first nation we got here, which is the Chaldeans, and these would be your Gentiles. Alright? So what we got is this Isaiah 23 is where we're switching from Ham to what we know as Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar and your Gentile rule. Alright? Because Ham ruled it first. We saw Nimrod. The history books gave us Hammurabi. Alright? But at some point, the Gentile had to rule it. So what he said here again, he said, behold, the land of the Chaldeans. Because the Chaldeans that we're going to read, they are who Nebuchadnezzar is. This people was not. That means this people were nothing till the Assyrian founded it for them that dwelled in the wilderness. They set up the towers thereof. They raised the palaces thereof, and he brought us to ruins. Alright? So now let's go on over to Isaiah chapter 39. Because still, when that prophecy was, when that was spoken of, Israel was still a power at this point. So now we're going to go to Israel while it's in its power, and we're going to show you King Hezekiah. And Hezekiah was one of the greater kings of Israel. And he was so cold of a king that one time the angel came to him and told him he was going to die. And then the Lord said, well, Hezekiah said, Lord, can I live a little longer? And the Lord gave him 15 more years to live. So prepare yourself, you're about to die. And Hezekiah had enough faith to go ask the Lord to give him a little more time. So Hezekiah was a good dude. All right, he was one of the better kings in Israel. Go ahead and pick it up at verse 1.
At that time, Merodach Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard that he had been sick and was recovered.
Right, so this was that sickness we got. So now we over here with this, we under this group of people when we start talking about king of Babylon. We done already left them. When I say we left them, because really Nimrod and Hammurabi and all them, they ruled before Egypt. Because Egypt ended up ruling the world. This moved down to Egypt. The Egypt that we know. I might have spelled that wrong. This moved down from them, this moved down to Egypt. This is all the same group of people ruling the world. Alright? But we saw here in Isaiah 23 and verse 13 that what they owned and what they had was nothing. Well, what they got was nothing, and they were nothing until these people built what they had. Alright, that's what we read in Isaiah 23. Alright, so now we're gonna find them. And we got this king here, Isaiah 39. At that time, Mordecai Baladan, the son of Balad, king of Babylon, sent letter, presented it to Hezekiah. For he had heard that he had been sick and was recovered. Read, Lord, go ahead, keep reading.
And Hezekiah was glad of them, and showed them the house of his precious things.
So Hezekiah is showing them all the jewelry and the gold and the precious stuff that Israel got. Go ahead.
The silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment and all the house of his armor and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house nor in his dominion that Hezekiah showed them not.
Go ahead.
Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah and said unto him, What said these men? And from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, They are come from a far country unto me, even from Babylon.
So he said they came from, and we saw on the map, for those that could see, really, they came from the north, a couple hundred miles away north of Israel, from Babylon. Go ahead, read some more.
Then he said, What have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, All that is mine house have they seen.
Go ahead.
There's nothing among my treasures that I have not shown.
So Hezekiah showed the Babylonian king all that he got, right? Now watch what's going to end up being said to Hezekiah. Go ahead.
Then said Isaiah to Hezekiah, Hear the word of the Lord of hosts. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house and that which is thy father's have laid up in store unto this day shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, said the Lord.
So he said everything you just sat there and showed them, it's going to all be carried into Babylon. All right, go ahead, keep reading.
And of thy sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon.
Go ahead.
Then said Hezekiah to Isaiah, Good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. He said, Moreover, for they shall be peace and truth in my days.
He said, but in your days, you're going to have peace. This ain't going to happen in your days, Hezekiah. So let's find Babylon picking up some steam. Let's go over to Jeremiah chapter 6. And what we're doing right here, this is like, we walking the history down through the Bible. And we're putting it almost on like what we would say a timeline here. Okay? So again, and I'm reiterating, before we get into the second half of the class, I'm reiterating the way the rulership went. So it started off with Ham. Alright? And Ham is here. All this is Ham. Then it moved over to Shem. Shem ruled the world. And when we say Shem ruled the world, we're talking about what's known as modern civilization, the more powerful ruler of the world. When Solomon was ruling, it was 40 years of peace, and people came from all over the world to see what Solomon had. They came and paid taxes to Solomon. Solomon had all the money. Alright, so you had 40 years with David and 40 years with Solomon. But then after Shem is this Gentile dynasty. This is the one we're going to learn about today. Alright? Or Japheth. That's the other son. Each one of these sons of Noah get the opportunity to rule the world. Alright? For a nice period of time as well. Okay, so I'm going to keep saying that because right now, we done left Ham. We just introduced Ham. When we was looking at Babylon and we was looking at Genesis chapter 10, I just showed you they originated with Babylon. Shem ruled from Israel. Alright, we ruled from the central or more central location. But they gonna get what was given to Ham to start with. Alright? I'm trying to make this as simple as possible because I know there's a lot of history and a lot of geography, but we gonna see in the second half more of the relevance of understanding all this. Alright, because we're gonna see what was in that cup. We'll get there. All right, so Jeremiah chapter 6, and pick it up at verse 21. When you get there, go ahead.
Therefore, thus said the Lord, behold, I will lay stumbling blocks before this people, and the fathers and the sons together shall fall upon them.
Talking about upon this people Israel. Go ahead.
The neighbor and his friend shall perish. Thus said the Lord, behold, a people coming from north country, and a great nation.
So he's talking to the children of Israel. He's saying it's a people coming from a north country. Alright, now we had already saw in Isaiah what was told to Hezekiah that Babylon gonna come and they gonna come take what you got. So now we see here people gonna come from a north country. And when we looked at our map, Babylon was north of Israel. Read some more.
And the great nation shall be raised from the sides of the earth. They shall lay hold on bow and spear.
Go ahead.
They are cruel and have no mercy. Their voice roareth like the sea. They ride upon horses, set array as men of war against thee, O daughter of Zion.
Hey, like when this country come upon y'all, it's gonna come and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna be ugly when this people from the north come upon you. Go ahead. They're gonna be cruel, as it said. Keep reading though.
We have heard the fame thereof. Our hands wax feeble. Anguish hath taken hold of us, and pain as a woman in travail. Go not forth into the field, nor walk by the way, for the sword of the enemy and the fear on every side.
Go ahead.
O daughter of my people, gird thee with sackcloth, and wallow thyself in ashes. Make thee mourning as for an only son, most bitter lamentation, for the spoiler shall suddenly come upon us.
So he's saying the spoiler, and this is what was told to Hezekiah, the spoiler is going to certainly come upon the children of Israel. But let's go over here to Jeremiah chapter 25 now. So we getting, you know, we just finished reading the prophecy, and now we getting to the man, who this actually is. Jeremiah chapter 25. And leave that brother late. Broke his streak. Good to see you, bro. Jeremiah 25, let's pick this up at verse 9.
Behold, I will send and take all the families of the north.
So again, we talking to Israel, and he said, I'm going to bring the families of the north upon it. And we know, we saw geographically, north of Israel again was Shinar, was that land. So he said, I'm going to take the families of the north. Go ahead.
Said the Lord, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon.
So now we got Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. And he going to be our focal king that we're going to deal with and understand in this great Babylon. Alright, go ahead.
My servant, and will bring them against this land, and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about, and will utterly destroy them.
Go ahead.
And make them an astonishment, and a hissing, and a perpetual desolation.
Go ahead.
Moreover, I will take from them the voice of mirth.
So he's talking to Israel again. He said, I'm going to use this Nebuchadnezzar, and he's going to take the voice of mirth and everything from the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones, and the light of the candle.
Go ahead, read some more.
And this whole land shall be a desolation.
And the whole land of Israel now is going to be a desolation, what he's saying. Go ahead.
And an astonishment. And these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. So
now he's saying, and the nations that's here going to serve Babylon 70 years. And we dealt with a class a couple of months back, showing you that this 70 years was really prophetic when we went into the book of Daniel, and that it lasted longer than 70 literal years. That it was really more about what was it, 490 years, and then it was even a little more to that. Okay, so this is how long you was gonna serve, and we're gonna see the prophetic here. Watch, keep reading.
And it shall come to pass when 70 years are accomplished that I will punish the king of Babylon and that nation, saith the Lord, for their iniquity in the land of the Chaldeans, and will make it perpetual desolation.
Go ahead.
And I will bring upon that land all my words which I have pronounced against it.
So he said at the end of the time that I got set for Babylon, I'm going to punish them. Alright, go ahead, read some more.
Even all that is written in this book, which Jeremiah hath prophesied against all the nations.
Go ahead, verse 14, pay attention.
For many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of them also.
So, and that's what we're going to deal with today as well, in understanding this Babylon. That it is prophesied that many nations and great kings are going to serve themselves to this Babylon. Alright? This is what makes Babylon, this is why we can call it Babylon the Great. Because many nations are going to be attached to this Babylon the Great. Go ahead, keep reading.
And I will recompense them according to their deeds, and according to the works of their own hands.
Alright, so he said that Nebuchadnezzar was going to be the king that was going to come in and take Israel land from them. So let's go learn a little bit about Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel chapter 1, we're going to pick it up at verse 1 and 2. So now we're starting to show you how this Babylon the Great, how it goes from this dynasty over here, this Nebuchadnezzar, and how it's going to go from here all the way to where we are today. That's really what we care more about. Don't nobody really care about Nimrod. You know, they ain't got pictures of Nimrod in history books or nothing like that. You know, we want to deal with people that we can see. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're going to do. We're going to deal with people we can see. We're going to deal with people they make movies about, like Alexander the Great. They make movies about him. You know, like Julius Caesar. They make movies about him. You know, and that's the thing that we're going to concentrate and focus on as we walk it to today's time. All right? So, Daniel chapter 1, and pick this up at verse, Daniel chapter 1, and pick this up at verse 1.
In the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it.
Go ahead.
And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with part of vessels of the house of God, which he carried unto the land of Shinar.
So notice what we got going on here. Some terms we done heard now. So you got Jehoiakim. He was an Israelite king, and he was taken captivity into the land of Shinar under Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, which we saw in Jeremiah 25. Go ahead. Did you finish verse 2?
No, I'm still.
Go ahead.
And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God.
Okay, so now let's go here over to Daniel chapter 2. So we see that Nebuchadnezzar, we saw that it was prophesied that they was going to come down on Israel, and here we have it. Okay, now the story that we most know about Daniel is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That's the story we most know about. You know, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, and that they wouldn't bow down to a statue made by this Nebuchadnezzar. But we're going to see some more today about it. So let's go over to Daniel chapter 2, and we're going to start this off at verse 1, but we're going to skip through it a little bit. Go ahead.
And in the 2nd year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar.
So his 2nd year that he was king, Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. This is the Chaldean king of Babylon. The Chaldeans, they not Hamites, they Gentile. Go ahead.
Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams, wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him.
Go ahead.
Then the king commanded to call the magicians, and the astrologers, and the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. So the king had a dream, and he like, look, I'm gonna call my astrologers, my sorcerers, everybody that count. I want you to come and break down this dream to me. But on top of everything, though, what we found out later, what you can read on your own time, I'm not gonna tell you what the dream was. I want you to tell me what the dream was. I need you to tell me what the dream is and break it down to me. And couldn't nobody do it. So he was ready to take off some heads, but then Daniel heard a word about it. Okay, so we're going to skip over to verse 31 because we're going to get to more what the dream was. Alright? Daniel chapter 2 verse 31, go ahead. Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible.
So what he telling him, he breaking down the dream to him that he saw. Daniel's breaking it down, and he said, "What you saw was this great image. It was out there. It was terrible looking." Go ahead, read some more. What verse you at?
32.
Go ahead, 32. Keep reading.
This image's head was of fine gold. His breast and his arms of silver.
All right, so he had a head, and it was fine gold. All right. All right, and then he said, what else? He had a head that was fine gold, and what else?
His breast and his arms of silver.
Alright. So then he had breast and arms of silver. I'm not trying to be the artist. I'm just trying to let us be able to see here a little bit. So this part was silver. You want to really see some good artwork on it, you can just type up this Daniel chapter 2 on the internet. Literally. Just go on to Google, put Daniel chapter 2, and it's going to show you the same thing. It's going to show you a better version of what I'm showing. But go ahead, keep reading.
His belly and his thighs of brass.
Alright, so it say his belly and his thighs. This is weight, y'all. So it say his belly and his thighs was brass. Alright. Go ahead.
His legs of iron.
Uh-huh.
His feet part of iron and part of clay.
Alright, so it said his legs was iron and his feet part iron and part clay. So we got iron down here and it's mixed with clay. Alright. So this is what he saw. He saw a great, obviously this is a little terrible, but mine is terrible artwork. But he said he saw a terrible a statue. And what he saw was a statue and it had a gold head, silver chest plate, stomach and thighs of brass, and feet iron mixed with clay. This is what he saw. Go ahead, keep reading.
Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor.
Go ahead.
And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth.
What verse we at? Okay, I see we at 39. Okay, so what he's saying is, in the same image that Nebuchadnezzar saw, he saw a stone. I'm just gonna let the cat out of the bag. This stone that he saw was Jesus. But I'm just like I said, I'm just letting the cat out of the bag. So when it's all said and done, it's a rock that's gonna hit the bottom of this stone. A rock gonna hit it and destroy it. Alright, he gonna hit it down here where the iron mixed with clay at. And it's the reason that I'm showing you that he gonna hit it down here where this iron mixed with clay at, because what the statue represents is a kingdom. Alright? It represents a kingdom in which Nebuchadnezzar is the gold. He's the head of this kingdom. And the Medes and the Persians, they the silver. They the middle section of this kingdom. And then it went down to the Greeks with Alexander the Great. And we're going to see this some more. And then from Alexander the Great, it went down to Rome. And Rome is going to be the last one to rule until we get to this stone. And that stone going to become a great mountain. That stone is Christ. Because he going to rule when it's all said and done. So I'm just letting you know what this was that we saw. We're going to break it down some more. Go ahead.
This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom. So he's telling them the interpretation now that he say, King, oh, thou Nebuchadnezzar, you the king of kings. Go ahead. Power and strength and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given unto thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. So notice what he's telling Nebuchadnezzar. He's saying, look, Nebuchadnezzar, he interpreting the statue. He said, look, man, you the king of all kings. And read that one part again. Read that part again. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand. So he said, I done gave you pretty much everything, Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead. And hath made thee ruler of them all. Thou art this head of gold. So he said, Nebuchadnezzar, you this head of gold. Go ahead, read some more. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee. And another third kingdom of brass. Right, so what you got to find out when you go to your history book is who ruled after Babylon. Alright? Because Babylon was the king, he told him, thou, O Nebuchadnezzar, you this head of gold. Well, who came in after Babylon was my man right here. This is what we saw in the history book. And when we looked in the Bible dictionary, and we got Cyrus, the Medes, and he ruled over the Medo-Persian Empire. Medo-Persian. Alright? We're just going to do it like that. I don't forget how that's Persian. Alright, so he came next. So this is what your silver is. Then after the Medo-Persian Empire, when you look in your history books, came your Greeks. That's what made Alexander the Great such a great dude. You know, because he was the guy that came in and ruled right after he beat up Darius. Like when you watch the movie 300, I know a lot of y'all done seen that. And y'all done seen that big old dude with the gold, you know, like the gold guy. He under this empire. He under the Medes and the Persian Empire. This is the Medo-Persian Empire is really Russia and then Iraq, Iran. This is what that is, present day, just so you know. Alright? But then when you watch that movie, you saw that movie 300, that the Medo-Persians, that's who the king was for the that was in the all gold. Alright? Well, you saw who he was fighting. He was fighting the Greeks. You know, they fought the Greeks up until Alexander the Great come on the scene. And Alexander the Great kicks his butt real easy.
Alright, we're just going to put Alexander the Great. Alright, and then after Alexander the Great, we find out the next ruling dynasty would be Rome. And Rome ruled from about, Rome ruled when Jesus was here. And Rome ruled, we just say, a little bit before Jesus, all the way to about 400 or 500 years later. So Rome ruled for a nice little time, as history books will tell us. But we're going to find out a little more that Rome continued to rule a little later. Because we saw when he was breaking down this whole little statue here, he said that a stone came and hit that statue in the foot and destroyed it. The stone wasn't no barbarian. That stone was Jesus. We're going to get there, like I said. Go ahead and read some more.
Which shall thou rule over all the earth. Verse 40. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things. And as iron that breaketh all these, shall it breaketh in piece and bruise.
Alright, so notice here he's saying that this fourth kingdom is going to subdue all things. And that's what this fourth kingdom is about, is Rome. And if you understand anything about the way these kingdoms rule, when Rome came in, they just let you keep what you got and tax the world. That's what they did. You know what I'm saying? And they ruled the world in a whole different capacity, but they ruled the world. Like when we had our map back up, I'll show you. Matter of fact, where is the map? You hit the map. Alright, let me try to get that real quick. If I don't mind, we're going to get Brother DeMarcus here to hold the map up. But I'm going to show you where each one of these people ruled and why we keep talking about ruling the world. I'm going to show you everybody's dynasty here. And you can check this out on your own as well. Yeah, matter of fact, we can both. Okay, you got it. All right. So when Nebuchadnezzar ruled, he ruled this area. Alright, this is what Nebuchadnezzar ruled. Like he ruled over Israel, he ruled more central. When the Medes and the Persians of Iraq, Iran, when they ruled about the same area as Nebuchadnezzar. When Alexander the Great came in to rule, he took his kingdom all the way over here to India. He ruled like over here in Egypt and in Libya. He ruled even down, he even ruled these islands. They go Greece right there. And this is where Alexander the Great come from. This is called the Mediterranean Sea. You know, so he ruled all of this all the way to India. Now, when we say he ruled the world, well, nobody living up here. Ain't nobody living over here during this time period. Civilization is here. People down here living like savages, and people up here living like barbarians. So they don't count. This is just civilized world. Now, when Rome ruled the world, Rome ruled from all the way up here, the United Kingdom. They rule all of North Africa. Don't nobody want Central Africa. That ain't nothing but desert. All of North Africa, all the way Middle East, all the way over here to China. For some reason, can't nobody manage to get China. I don't know what's up with that. I do know what's up with that, but for some reason, they can't manage to get into China like they want to. So they end up always stopping over here somewhere. So Rome ruled all of this. So that's the common known world. Thank you for that. Alright, but when Rome ruled, they let you keep, they let you keep your civilization. See, when Babylon ruled and the Medes and the Persians, they try to change your outlook a lot. But when the Greeks and the Romans came in, they like, look at man, you keep what you got. And we should just make sure you pay us. You know, when the Greeks come in, they say, give us some of your young men to fight with us. You know, as they continue to conquer the world. Alright, so those are your 4 world rulerships that this statue is representing here. Alright, so where are we now? Verse 40, did we finish that? Alright, let's get down to verse 43. Go ahead.
And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
So he's saying when you start getting in this bottom one, he said that they not going to have that unity like the rest of them. That's what we're talking about with Rome. They're not going to have that unity like everybody else did. But go ahead, keep reading.
And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed.
So he said in the days of these last kings, the God of heaven is going to set up, Jesus is going to get his kingdom come during the days of these iron mixed with clay days. And we're going to put some more understanding with that so we can find out some more, we can see some more of who exactly is ruling in that time period. But go ahead.
And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out from the mountain without hands, and that it brake in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God hath made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure.
So again, going back to the title of our class, declaring the end from the beginning, notice this book is putting the prophecy out here saying so that the king should know what should happen hereafter. There is no other book that accomplishes this goal of letting you know what's going to happen later. This is how we know. I remember entertaining the question, how do we know the Bible is real? This is how we know the Bible is real. Because it tells you something going to happen, then it happened. Let's move over to our next set of prophecy. Daniel chapter 7. Daniel chapter 7. Believe it or not, we almost done because all this stuff moved kind of quick. Daniel chapter 7 here. Daniel chapter 7. And we're going to pick this up at verse 1. And just so you know, those that are watching online and for us is here, you know, you'll be able to get, because this is one of them classes that you might have to kind of go back and read over again. And you might have to go look at some more of the information over again. So we'll definitely be online. Generally, they get online within like 2-3 days. So you'll be able to go back and replay it a little bit and see exactly what, you know, we're being taught here. Because I know this is a whole lot of information to grasp, but sometimes, you know, we need some class with a little meat. We need to see that we need to reach for a little more. You know what I'm saying? Because I can show you how to love your neighbor every week. I really can. And you, Matthew, why you come in here like, dang, boy, I mean, how many times did I hear about us loving our neighbor? So sometimes we need something else so we can see, like, okay, it's a whole lot in this Bible. And it's all geared us to understanding the way and the operations of God. That's why I'm showing you that he's giving you the end at the beginning. So at any rate, Daniel chapter 7, let's pick this up at verse 1. Go ahead.
In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of... So
Belshazzar is grandson to Nebuchadnezzar. Go ahead.
And had visions of his head upon his bed.
Go ahead.
Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matter.
All right.
Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea.
So in this one here, he said he saw the four winds of heaven upon the great sea. The sea is the people, brothers and sisters. So he saw the four winds of heaven upon the people. We're going to learn that today too, but keep reading.
And four great beasts came up from the sea.
So this time he saw four great beasts come up from the people. We're going to write these beasts down. Go ahead.
Diverse one from another.
And each beast looked different from one another. Go ahead.
The first was like a lion. And had eagle's wings.
I'm not going to draw that. We're just going to write lion up here. Yeah, I'm not going to do it. And it had eagle's wings. Go ahead.
I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked. And it was lifted up from the earth, and was made upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it.
Go ahead.
And behold, another beast.
All right, hold on. So this first beast here, this is representation of Babylon. Now, have y'all ever seen anything with a lion with eagle's wings? Do y'all know anything that symbolizes? Have y'all ever seen a griffin? A griffin? Y'all ever seen a griffin? That's what a griffin is. A lion with some eagle's wings. And if you go to Iraq or Iran, and the most of us ain't been able to do that, so what we can do, we can go online. If you start looking at some of their sculptures, that's what you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of griffins over there. Alright? Like you're going to see them on their, and they're going to be concrete. You're going to see them on their buildings and that type of thing. And even to this day, we deal with that. We got them here with us. Alright? So that's that first one. It's a lion, eagle's wing, with eagle's wings, that represented Babylon. Go ahead, read some more.
And behold, another beast, a second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. So
now the next one we got is bear. Go ahead.
And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it.
So he had 3 ribs in his mouth. Go ahead.
And they said thus unto it, arise, devour much flesh.
So this next one here was the Medes and the Persians. He was just told to go and devour much flesh. Go ahead, keep reading.
After this I beheld, and lo, another, like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. So this time we got a leopard, and he got 4 wings on him. Go ahead, keep reading. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Alright, so he got 4 wings and 4 heads.
and he had dominion given to him. Now, this leopard is this Greek empire. Let me tell you what happened when Alexander the Great was this guy, and he lived to be 33 years old. He conquered the world super fast. And when he started traveling further and further to India, he caught one of their diseases, and he got sick, and he died at an early age. Well, when he died, they broke down his country into 4 separate parts. He had 4 kings or 4 generals. Let me see, Lucius, Ptolemy, Seleucus, and one of them was a girl name. So yeah, Cassandra, something like that. Okay, those were his 4 generals. It don't matter if I'm telling you the right names or not, because you can just go look them up yourself. I mean, you know, I'm just telling. But those Alexander the Great, his empire was broken up into 4 parts. It was broken up into a north, a south, and east. Oh, that's wrong. East and the west. It's broken up kind of like that. Yeah, it's kind of broken up like that. All right. And his generals ruled each different part in that Mediterranean area. Like the one who ruled this little west part, they ruled over basically northern Africa. The one who ruled over this north part, he ruled over like Rome and Italy. And then the one who ruled over this south part ruled over like Jerusalem and over that way. And the one who ruled over this east part ruled over the land, basically what we know as Babylon, when we was looking at that map. Alright, so this is what we're talking about. His 4 generals, they split it up. Alright, and out of those 4 generals, actually came Rome, some generations later. But go ahead and read some more.
After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast.
Right, go ahead.
Dreadful and terrible. So
now we got a 4th beast, and he's so nasty, we don't even give him a name. We ain't calling him a dog, a wolf, nothing like that. It was just called the dreadful and terrible beast. Go ahead.
And strong exceedingly.
And it was strong. Dreadful and terrible and strong. Go ahead.
And it had great iron teeth.
Notice here that it got iron teeth, just like how this other beast, on the statue, how it had iron mixed with clay feet. Now this beast here had iron teeth. This 4th beast. So we got 4 beasts, and if you want to see how they look, again, you just have to go do some homework. You can go on the internet and just type up Daniel chapter 7. It'll be just that simple. And it'll show you, because other people see this. Alright? So this 4th beast here is dreadful and terrible, and this represented Rome. And it had iron teeth here. Alright, go ahead, keep reading.
It devoured and brake in pieces.
And that's what Rome did. Rome devoured and broke in pieces. Go ahead.
And stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it.
Go ahead.
And it had 10 horns.
Notice here that this one, it said it had 10 horns. So this beast here, and the 10 horns actually represent 10 kings. Alright? So this dreadful and terrible beast had 10 horns. And the reason we writing all this stuff down is because when we get to Revelations, we're going to see all this stuff all over again. And we're going to be able to help identify when we bring this Babylon, this Rome, into modern day. That's why we're writing it down. That's why I'm leaving it up there. Much of it I can. So what verse are we at, brother? Alright, go ahead.
I considered the horns. And behold, there came up among them another little horn.
So he's like, I was looking at these 10 horns, and another little king came from among them. And we're not going to really get too much into that little king, but I will tell you that that little king is a religious leader that comes from amongst that Rome, or that last dynasty. Go ahead.
Before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man.
So it had 10 horns, but 3 of them got plucked up, leaving 7 horns. Alright, so we're going to leave that over here too. 3 of them got plucked up by some barbarian nations, but that's a whole other story. You have to do that on your own. We ain't got time for that today. Go ahead, read. What verse we at now? In the 8. Let's go to verse 13. Go ahead.
I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him.
Go ahead.
And there was given him dominion and glory and a kingdom, that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion in an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away.
Okay, so when it's all said and done, though, we just ran down 4 governments, but at the same time, we went and found a whole nother government that was never going to pass away. Each one of these governments faded away, just like each one of these do. But notice here, this stone is what we saw left last that was going to destroy this. And now we reading in this chapter that we got this Ancient of Days, which is going to rule when it's all said and done on the earth. Same thing. So we looking at Daniel chapter 2 and we looking at Daniel chapter 7, and they're breaking down the same thing. Go ahead, read some more.
And his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed.
So he said, but that kingdom, that last one, the Ancient of Days, it won't be destroyed. Let's go over to verse 21. Go ahead.
I beheld the same horn made war with the saints.
Talking about that little horn when it was all said and done. Go ahead.
And prevailed against them. Until the Ancient of Days came, and the judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time that came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So
I'm just trying to show you here that when it's all said and done, this stone that we got way down here by the feet is the same as this Ancient of Days. Alright? And he fought with one of the little horns that we read when we was reading this chapter. Alright? He gonna end up smashing this little horn. That little horn that we see, I'm just gonna put it over here. That's the Pope. We're just gonna put it out there. If you don't believe me, then you're going to have to go do your own. Prove me wrong. That's what I say. Because we're supposed to be proving all things anyway. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling it to you, but really, you're supposed to still go back and do a little bit of homework and research on your own. You can't get it all from here. We only do this 2 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like, surely I hope you think, I mean, you know, if you go to get your master's degree, you don't go to school for 2 hours a week. You know, you put in a whole lot more hours for that to get your master's. All right? This is greater than a master's. So go ahead, read some more. Where we at?
Verse 23.
All right, 23.
Thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms.
So he going back in retrospect to these what he saw. He said the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth. That's why we know this guy. Each one of these beasts gotta represent kingdoms. And we talking about what kingdoms? These are the kingdoms that rule, brothers and sisters. America ain't even in play yet. America don't even exist yet. These are the kingdoms that rule what we know as the world. And we're going to find out later somebody ruled the world again. But we're going to get there. But go ahead, keep reading.
Which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms and shall devour the whole earth. So
it's saying that this last kingdom, which is Rome, he going to be diverse from all the others, and he going to devour the whole earth. That's what he going to do. Because the rest of them kingdoms going to fall. The last one going to be here to the Ancient of Days to get here. Go ahead.
And shall tread it down and break it into pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall rise. And another shall rise after them. And he shall be diverse from the first. And he shall subdue 3 kings.
Right, so we saw 3 kings not counting. That's why we got 7. Even though we got 10 horns up there, but we got 7 horns. Because 3 of them get plucked out. Alright, so we're going to deal with the 7 at some point today. Go ahead.
And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given into his hand until a time and times and the dividing of time.
Alright, let's go over to Revelation 17 now. Revelation 17. So what we're doing here, we building the data to understand this great mystery, Babylon. And we started off with Babylon all the way back in the land of Shinar, under under Nimrod. Then we moved them actually through the history book. We just showed you Hammurabi. You know, he was one of their heads over there too. Then we used Isaiah 23 to just show you, look, it's going to go from Ham to the Gentile. Then we see this Gentile come from the Chaldea, Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar is the one that the Lord said, all the kings of the earth, according to Jeremiah 25, they're going to serve you. That's what we read so far today. But then we went to Daniel chapter 2 and Daniel chapter 7 so we can see how all these dreams was given to Nebuchadnezzar and his grandson to understand how all the kings were going to be under him. And that's what we got right here on our board. All right. So now we move this over to Revelation chapter 17. Revelation 17, and let's pick this up at verse 1. So when you get there, go ahead.
And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters.
So we read this before, now we're going to try to get some understanding on it. Go ahead.
With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns.
Alright, so now this woman that we saw here, it said that she sat, it said, so he carried me away in the spirit into the woods, and I saw a woman sit on a scarlet-colored beast, full of names and blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And that's what we got. Here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Them the 7 heads that this woman sat on right here. Alright? This woman is sitting on Babylon. And that's what started this all off. Alright? And this Babylon consists of Babylon, the Medes and the Persians, the Greeks, all the way down to the Romans. Alright? So it said, so he carried me away in the spirit in the woods, and I saw a woman sit on a scarlet-covered beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Remember, we read about the 10 horns here. That was on that last beast. Alright? And we saw that those 10 horns represented 10 kings. Alright? Let's skip over to verse 18 now. Go ahead.
And the woman which thou sawest is that great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth.
Alright, so the woman that we looking at here, she's a great city that reigns over the kings of the earth. So we got to learn about a great city that's going to reign over the kings of the earth. Okay, because we looking at a beast, and we saw that this beast, this woman sat on the beast, and we saw that who the woman sat on was represented here. The woman sat on Babylon. Alright? But then it said this woman was a city. What's the next verse we got on there?
18.
On the paper, I'm saying. Verse 15. Go ahead, verse 15.
18, 15.
Read verse 15, please.
The merchants of these things.
No, chapter 17, verse 15.
Yeah, that's what I read.
No, chapter 17, verse 15. See, look. Let me show you. See, verse 18, then 15. Got it? Okay, go ahead.
And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, and the peoples and the multitude and the nations and tongues.
So when we saw that this woman sat on the waters, it was the peoples. And I made mention to that a little earlier today already. So this is what the woman, because remember it said when we read in Revelations, when we was up at verse 3, and I saw I've been carried away and the woman sat on the sky. Okay, well we didn't read. We read that. We already read it once. We're going to read it again. So what verse it said again? Oh, thank you. Verse 1. It said, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So this whore, who is represented by the city, she sits on the people. Alright? So that's what we got so far. Go ahead, keep reading. Because we're going to identify this city. We're going to identify who this is, who this last player is in the whole equation. So let's skip over to verse, what we at, 15 now? We read that already, verse 9.
And here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits.
Alright, so now we see that the woman sit on 7 mountains. So we're going to go to our history book and we're going to find a city that sit on 7 mountains. This is what the woman sits on. So we're going to grab this last 2 million years, Reader's Digest, and we're going to go to page 110. Page 110 on the Reader's Digest. And this is just a regular 2 million years Reader's Digest. I mean, this is just a regular history book. That's all this is. Nothing special. But it's got history books, got information in it. So we're going to go to page 110. And it's called How Rome Shaped the Modern World. So let's start reading. Start right there. Alright. How Rome Shaped the Modern World. Page 110 of the last 2 million years. When you get there, go ahead.
It was in 753 BC that according to tradition, Rome was founded on 7 small hills by the banks of the river Tiber.
See, so we see here, because remember we read about a city. You know, it said in the scripture, it said, and the woman which thou sawest is that great city. But then we read verse 9, it said, and here is the mind which have wisdom. The 7 hills are the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. So, or mountains or hills. I do they the same thing. So now we read in a history book, and it's showing you Rome was founded on 7 small hills. So this woman here is sitting on, again, Rome, the last power that was there. But some might not quite comprehend that. Like, hey, Rome been dead. Well, we're going to see Rome ain't really never died. But do we need to finish reading that? No, we don't need to finish reading that. Let's go over here to Revelations chapter 17, and let's pick up verse 4 now. Revelation 17, verse 4. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. So it said that this woman that we saw, she had a golden cup in her hand, which was filled with abominations and fornications. Alright, keep reading. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon. Okay, that's good. I think we just wanted verse 3 and 4. I messed up on the paper here too. But it should be we want verse 4 through 6. So go ahead, keep reading. Okay. The mother of harlots and abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Alright, so now what we're going to start to look at, it said here that this woman had a cup. It said the woman was arrayed in purple. Because remember, we done found out this woman sit on Rome. And I'm just going to tell you, that this woman is the apostle church or the Roman Catholic Church. Alright? So that's who this woman is. And she's sitting on Babylon. On this big old great beast right here. So out of this cup, it said that she had, and the woman was arrayed with purple and scarlet, them the church colors, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand full of abominations. So that's what we're about to look at now, is some of these abominations that this woman had. Alright, which is this woman is sitting on Rome. So let's look at our first piece here, and this is last 2 million years, page 144, and we're going to look up St. Augustine. And we're going to see what he was about. So start where it say, although the British church, and read that whole little paragraph. Although the British church was revitalized. So we in the last 2 million years again, and we looking at when monks kept the light of Christianity burned. That's what we looking at here. Alright, that's the name of that chapter. But go ahead. Although the British church was revitalized by the Irish arriving from the West, a church based on remote monistic settlements could not cater for the spiritual needs of the ordinary people. To deal with this situation, Pope Gregory at the end of the 6th century sent St. Augustine to England at the head of the band of missionaries. The church they founded was closer in organization to the continental model, with central bishoprics at Canterbury and York, subsidiary sees at places like Rochester and Dorchester. Their mission was largely successful, and by the middle of the 7th century, paganism was whittling in England. So what the church is doing is they sending out missionaries to stop paganism throughout the land. Paganism is when you worship more than one God. So, you know, they was trying to stop you from worshiping the sun god, the wind god, the fire god, the plant god, the fertility god. So they sent out these missionaries to go out here and do that. You know, stop that from going on. So they said it was successful. We're going to see how the success came. This is what the church did. Go ahead. Worship of the old gods not die out at once. Worship of the old gods did not die out. So he's saying they was worshiping these old gods, but they didn't just die all at once. They was worshiping the moon god, but it didn't die like that. What happened? Go ahead. Gregory himself advised his missionaries to leave the pagan shrines alone. So he said, leave the shrines where they are. We talking about the church going out, the Roman church, the Catholic church going out, spreading their missionary doctrine. He said, well, leave their shrines where they are. That don't sound like what Jesus said in the Old Testament. He told them folks to kill everything, down to the children. Well, go ahead, keep reading. And tried to introduce Christian worship only gradually. He said, so what we're going to do, we're going to gradually try to introduce Christian worship.
Watch this part. Go ahead.
Alongside pagan practices.
So he said we're going to gradually introduce Christian worship with the pagan practices. Resulting in, go ahead.
This mingling of Christianity and paganism is the reason why Christ's birthday is celebrated on December 25th, the date of the pagans' winter festival.
So what we're reading here is, and we're going to read it one more time, because as we see the missionaries went out and they was preaching their gospel, they was like, okay, well, look here. I know you worship the sun god on December 25th, but we going to give you a little bit of Jesus and you can keep doing what you was doing. And that's what it said. This mingling of Christianity and paganism is the reason why Christ's birthday is celebrated on December 25th. They mingled Christianity with paganism to come up with Christmas Day. This was in the cup that woman was holding. Let's find out some more that's in that cup that this woman was holding. We're going to go to Funk and Wagner, New Standard Encyclopedia. I think the copyright on this bad boy is the last copyright is 1949. So that's pretty old. Found this at a yard sale. Alright. And we're going to look up here Sunday. Alright. This is Common New Standard Volume 23. And we're going to look up, by the way, it say Volume 23 and what we know is Latin numbers. I just want you, when I say as what we know in Latin numbers, because I want you to understand we still under this here. Latin come from them, from Rome. We still under this. Alright? I just thought I'd make mention of that. Just like our Super Bowls. Every time you see Super Bowl, you got to figure out which one we in, because they ain't got so many nights, XLV113, you know what I mean? They just tripping with that. But we're going to look at Sunday, alright? Can't write, just write out number 50, alright? But Sunday, read that. We in the New Standard Encyclopedia, I think that was volume, what we said, 23? Yeah, Funk and Wagner, I think you said the copyright on that was, what, 1949, right? Alright, go ahead.
Sunday, first day of the week, observed by Christians almost universally as a holy day in honor of the resurrection of Christ. So
notice this is what it's saying in here. First of all, I'm telling you, Sunday is the first day of the week and is served, but Christians honor this day. Okay, go ahead. Should have just said Catholics, but go ahead.
The howling of Sunday appears incontestably as a definite law of the church in the beginning of the 4th century. The Emperor Constantine...
So it's saying that this day started by the church in the 4th century. It's talking about the Roman church here. The Emperor Constantine, back to Rome, go ahead.
The Emperor Constantine
conformed... We still dealing with stuff from that last beast. Go ahead.
Conformed the custom by a law of the state. Throughout the medieval period, the authority of the church was so universally recognized that secular legislation in this regard was almost unnecessary. The Catholic Church then required and still requires an abstinence from servile work.
So y'all do realize we here on the Sabbath day, the 7th day of the week. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that Sunday it's telling you in the encyclopedia Sunday is the first day of the week, and that the Catholic Church has said, look, I'm requiring you to be absent to stop doing your work. This is that last beast we dealing with. See, that Rome turned into the Catholic Church via a few people, a few military people. But we're going to discuss them shortly. But go ahead, read some more.
And the assistance at Mass of all who are not lawfully hindered.
Okay, that's good here. I think I want you to read one more here before we go back to this. Here, let's read that sun worship. I just want you to read that sun worship. Alright, so this is all the stuff that was in the cup in Revelation 17 that we was reading, that this woman held in her cup. It said that it was full of the abominations. And what we recognize is as we read these things, they coming from somebody. We seeing a common theme amongst some of these things. We seeing Rome as the common theme, which is the 4th ruler under this beast, this dreadful and terrible beast with iron mixed with iron teeth. They had 10 horns and where it had 10 heads and 7 horns. And it had a little horn that came out that spoke great and terrible things. These are the things that we read today so far. And that little horn literally made war with the saints. But that's a whole other story. Keep reading though. Sun worship.
Sun worship. Main worship of the old pastoral Aryans as may still be seen in the Brahmin rites.
See, now check this out. Sun worship started up here. When I say start, really sun worship started way when we had Nimrod and them up there. But what he's saying here is it started over here, and it's actually going to be under the Medes and the Persians. Go ahead.
And it appears in the Persian Mithra.
See, sun worship started up here, and it said under the Persian Mithra. Yeah, Mithra. That's the sun god, y'all. That's what sun worship is. I'm just showing you that what we got today, remember this was mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abomination. Sun worship is what you do when you go to church on Sunday. But go ahead, keep reading. But that's not the only time you worship the sun. Read some more.
The Greek Helios, the Egyptian rock.
Oh, wait a minute. So we got the Greek Helios. Here we go again. Recognize another one of this. Then it went back to Egypt. Remember, we had Ham up there first. You know what I'm saying? We had him way over here. You know, Ham take you back to Nimrod, actually. So it's all still the same. This mystery, this Babylon the Great, this mother of harlots, the abominations of the earth. Go ahead, read some more.
It flourished in Tartary. In the fullest development.
Try to skip down to the worship.
Okay. The worship of the sun lingered long even under the shadow of Christianity.
The worship of the sun lingered long even under the shadow of Christianity, under the shadow of Rome. We're gonna put Rome in up here at Catholic Church, so we'll know. That's who this last one is. Roman Catholic Church. And it said here that it lingered long even because it started, we peeped it out in the history book now. Up here with them. Actually, we picked it out way over here with Egypt when we was in Ham. But we found Persia and Mithra, alright? And then we even saw, what it said, Helios with the Greeks. You see what I'm saying? Remember, Rome didn't come up with no new guys, y'all. Rome just took everybody else's guys. Yeah. You know, like I said, all Rome wanted was your money. That's why we get the term render unto Caesar what is Caesar. He was Roman. You see what I'm saying? They just want your bread. You know. So anyway, but it said it lingered long into the Catholic Church. Read some more.
Which was skillful to turn its rights.
It was skillful. I mean, they did this with some elegance. Go ahead.
Turn its rights into profit. Thus, these survived disguised in Easter bonfires, as do its great festivals in the Yule log bonfires of Christmas Day.
See, you notice what it just said? It said when they dealing with Christmas, when they deal with the Yule log bonfires, on what day? Read that sentence again.
And their bonfires as do its great festivals in the Yule log bonfires of Christmas Day.
So they still dealing with the sun god again when you start dealing with Christmas Day. Alright? This is the God that you're dealing with when the Lord said, have no other God before me but him. He's a jealous God. Alright? Let's move over to our next thing that we're going to look at. They came from this cup. Pagan rites absorbed. Last 2 million years again. Page 216. There we go. And we're going to look at, right here, pagan rites absorbed, monasteries secure the faith and keep learning alive. So we back into our last 2 million years again. Alright, go ahead.
By a stroke of tactical genius.
Now, and the main reason I put this in this class, I'm not even going to lie to you, because I know this part by heart. Because it's going to be in so many of our elders' classes. So I felt like, well, I got to make sure we get it too. You know, we don't reinvent the wheel around here. Straight up. I mean, the wheel is round. You want to reinvent it, you're not moving nowhere. So I just figured, hey, I got to put this one in here too then. So this one is called Pagan Rites Absorbed. And it's on page 216 of the last 2 million years. He say by a stroke of tactical genius, what happened?
The church, while intolerant of pagan belief,
the church was not supposed to be tolerant of pagan belief, but did what?
Was able to harness the powerful emotions generated by pagan worship.
By the worship of the sun. They harnessed, they was able to do something with that worship. Go ahead.
Often, churches were sited where temples had stood before.
So they say, look at churches, they just put churches up where they pagan temples were. They didn't even tear the temple down. They just was like, all right, look here. We just go, what God you got in here? Okay, we're going to take this God out. We're going to put this new God in. That's all they just did. Go ahead.
And many heathen festivals were added to the Christian calendar. Easter, for instance.
So they said heathen festivals was added to your Christian calendar. Easter, which is actually Estara, the goddess of fertility. This is all in the cup from Rome now. Go ahead.
For instance, a time of sacrifice and rebirth in the Christian year takes its name from the Norse goddess Istargi, and whose honor rites were held every spring. She in turn was simply a northern version of the Phoenician earth mother Astarte, goddess of fertility. Easter eggs continue an age-old tradition in which the egg is a symbol of birth, and cakes which were eaten to mark the festivals of Astarte and Ostara. Is that right?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Ostara were the direct ancestor of our hot cross buns.
So it's just showing you here, like, look, when we deal with Easter, we dealing with the goddess Astarte. You know, in which you can trace that back to even more pagan gods. Let's get back to our Bible, though. We get close to the end of this here. Let's go to Revelations chapter 17. Let's read verse 6 through 8 now. Verse 6 through 8. Go ahead.
And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints.
So this woman that we saw, this which we recognize as Rome, which is really the Catholic Church, it says she had the blood of the saints on her. Go ahead.
And with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with a great admiration.
Go ahead.
And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman, and of the beast that carried her, which hath 7 heads and 10 horns.
Go ahead.
The beast that thou sawest was, and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, and yet is.
Okay, so now let's understand some stuff before we get into this last 2 million years. So it said, look, I saw the woman, and she was drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus Christ. And when I saw her, I wondered, because basically this woman, she was a killer, and she was killing the children of Israel. This is what she was doing, or the ones who decided they wanted to keep the commandments, right? Alright, so read this here. We're going to read this verse here. This place under control of religious ideas. And this is again the last 2 million years, page 291. So start where it says dogma.
Dogma developed through the ages as a result of debate within the church on such matters as the nature of God and Christ. Any new ideas that seem to contradict established teaching in these matters were denounced as dangerous heresy and punished with varying degrees of severity. So
what they're saying here, they was coming up, this church here was coming up with church ideas. And if you was kicking against the church ideas, that was considered to be heresy. And what would happen here is you would die. They would kill you about that. Alright? That's what it said here. Severity, it said you'd be dangerous heresy, punishment, varying degrees of severity. What else?
Excommunication, cutting a man off from the church, and so the mercy of Christ.
Go ahead.
Torture and sometimes burning at the stake were methods used to root out heresy. The most notorious device for maintaining orthodoxy, the Inquisition, was set by the Pope Innocent.
So what we know most about is the Inquisition. And the Inquisition was set up by Pope Innocent. Alright, and he was killing people who didn't want to be Roman Catholics. So he was killing people like us. You know, we wouldn't want to be Roman Catholics. We wouldn't be Roman Catholics, no. So he's saying here, going back to the Bible now, back to Revelation, it said, chapter 17, verse 6, I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. Then we're going to skip down to verse 8. Then it said, and the beast that thou sawest was and is not. Because that's what Rome is. Rome was, you know, we saw Rome way back here in the day. But it is not. Meaning Rome fell. Everybody know Rome fell around 500 AD, somewhere in there. But then it says, is not, but yet is. Because Rome lived on through its kings. Through some of your kings like Justinian, Charles V, Charlemagne, Mussolini, Otto the Great. All these kings, when you look them up in history, they are considered to be holy Roman emperors. Alright? And by being holy Roman emperors, that's all they was doing was ruling over Rome. They kept Rome over. And they would try to unify Rome. Whether they ruled from France, whether they ruled from Germany, whether they ruled from Italy, they would try to unify Rome again, once again. So let's go over here to Revelation chapter 6. We're going to start wrapping this up. Can somebody please shut that door for me? Shut that door. You can just leave the latch on so that you can get in, but I need the door shut because that noise is going to be a little irritating for me. We almost done here. Revelation chapter 6. We dealing with, now we're taking this beast, this entity here, and we're going to run it down to its very last. Because its very last is going to be a head-on collision with Jesus Christ. Revelation chapter 6, pick it up at verse 1 and 2. Go ahead.
And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard, as it were the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer.
So this is at the end here, and this is a guy, he's actually going to come from amongst this beast. And this is going to be your Roman, your Catholic, your Pope. But go ahead, he said he went forth to conquer, so on and so forth. That's the first seal, but we leaning towards something else here. Let's skip over to verse 9. Go ahead.
And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God, and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth?
Go ahead.
And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little while, a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled.
Go ahead.
And I beheld when they had opened the sixth seal, and lo.
So you had these 7 seals, and the first seal was the Antichrist. That's what that first seal was about. And basically, he went out and he conquered and he killed. And you pay attention to the class with the seals, you'll find out that he did his thing. All right. But now let's go over here. We're gonna skip some of this, and we're gonna go over to Revelation chapter 13, because we're gonna put it all together into today's time. From where we started, all the way from the top of that, the lion, the eagle's wings. When we saw the head of gold, we're going to put all that together in this Revelation 13. All the way down to the little horn that we didn't do a whole lot of reading about, but we did cover him a little bit in chapter 7. It was more in chapter 8 of Daniel, but we didn't really get into a whole lot of that today. That's the Antichrist. We got classes on that, so we wasn't going to do a whole lot on that. We're dealing more with the entity of the beast, and with the beast and the whore that sat on the beast. Who had this sign on, this great Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. So anyway, go ahead, Revelations chapter 13, pick it up at verse 1.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. So
again, we're looking at the same beast right here. It said we had 10 horns, and it said 7 heads, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head with the name of blasphemy. Go ahead.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. So
again, we see the beast that he saw was like unto a leopard. Go ahead.
And his feet were as feet of a bear.
See again, he had feet like the bear. Go ahead.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
See there, we're going again.
And the dragon gave him his power.
And this time that dreadful and terrible, he's saying that whole beast was given power by Satan, the dragon. Go ahead.
And his seat and his great authority. And I saw on one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. So Rome, this beast, we know that this beast died way down here. He said, I saw on this beast that it was wounded to death. Rome been failed. But he said Rome was healed though. See, Rome always was kept alive. You know, during World War II, who gave Vatican City to the Pope was Mussolini. He was a part of keeping Rome alive. It was always somebody who kept Rome alive. That's who Napoleon fought in the name of the popes. He was unifying for the Catholic Church out of France. Somebody always was around to keep Rome alive. But go ahead, read some more. And all the world wondered after the beast.
But everybody wondered like we're doing to this day. We wondered after. We just follow after the beast. That's why we getting close to this Christmas season. And that's what the whole world gonna be. They already playing Christmas music in the store already. I'm like, dang, man. I'm soon. It was like soon November 1st hit. It's like as soon as Halloween over with, it's time for the next. And they pushing that Christmas hard. You know, they get money season. And we're gonna see that shortly in a minute too. Go ahead.
And they worshiped the dragon which gave power to the beast.
So they really was worshiping Satan, who gave power into that beast. Go ahead.
And they worshiped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Right.
So they said, but remember though, when we started all this, the statue that we had up here was killed by a stone, and the beast that we got here, it said it was going to rule till this Ancient of Days came about. So now they said, well, who can make war with this beast? Go ahead.
And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things with and blasphemy.
Right.
And a power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle.
That's good. We're not gonna get into that too much. That's just dealing with the Pope. That's the guy. That's the last king that come from under this leadership here. But let's skip down to verse 11, because now we're gonna deal with the guy. We're gonna deal with the king a little bit. Go ahead, verse 11.
And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed.
So he said it was some little guy that come up out of the Roman church, and he caused the people to worship this first beast. But remember, this first beast was powered by Satan. So it was like he was causing people to worship that beast. That's who Innocent the Third is. You know what I'm saying? That's who Pope Leo is. All these different popes. That's what they was doing, all the way to today. You pay attention to the Pope today, he be on some blasphemy. But go ahead, keep reading.
And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by the sword and did live. Okay,
that's good. We're going to skip that for the sake of time, and let's go over here to Matthew chapter 24. But basically what we was just getting at is we building up for the Pope. And I had a little more information I was going to share out of one of these books, but we're not going to get too deep into that, because we're seeing here, we should be understanding that this beast that we're dealing with is wrong. And we dealing with what Rome has given us. Rome has a leader, and that leader was the Pope. And he speak great things, and he gonna be here until the Lord come back. And that's what we getting at now. Matthew 24, verse 21. And when you get there, go ahead and read.
For then shall be a great tribulation.
So this is what, when this Pope guy comes on the scene, he gonna bring a great tribulation. That's what that 42 months was about. 3.5 years of a tribulation. Because remember, we read in Revelations 17, it said that he was gonna be drunk with the blood of the saints for killing these people. So this is what's gonna be going on during the great tribulation. See, a lot of us be thinking, oh yeah, they're gonna be ready to give you the mark. They ain't finna be ready to give us. We poor people. They ain't finna be ready to give us a mark. They gonna be ready to kill us. You know, the mark, they're gonna be giving that option out to some other people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they're gonna be ready to do with us. You know, but that's a whole other story inside of this story. But go ahead. Where we at? Matthew 24, verse 21, Great Tribulation. Go ahead.
Such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time.
So this is what we dealing with. They're gonna take us all the way down to where this is the worst time period ever. And it's gonna be under that dreadful and terrible beast. That's why it was called a dreadful and terrible beast. Go ahead, keep reading.
No, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened.
Go ahead.
Then if any man shall say unto you, Lo, here is Christ, or there, believe it not. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect.
All right, let's go over to Revelation 17 now. We're going to finish up to 17, and then we're going to go into 18. Revelation 17, and then we're going to move it into 18. And we should have a clearer understanding of this stuff as we read it now than we had at the beginning of this class on who these beasts are and what this is about. Revelation 17, pick it up at verse 12. When you get there, go ahead.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So during this time period, during this great tribulation, the 10 horns that we kept seeing are going to be 10 kings. See, when you go check Europe out, Europe was unified right after World War II with a treaty called the Treaty of Rome. And what that did was made it where now these different countries can travel like how we travel with the United States. So what they had to do after they unified themselves under that travel, under that travel of them bringing their goods in and out of the country. You know, like for example, if I want to travel some oranges from France to Germany, now I don't have to pay no country taxes.
This is what the Treaty of Rome was first about. It was reunifying Rome. Alright, but then after that took place, they came up with a currency. The European dollar. You know, the EU is as we know of it now. You know, so now, not only do we not have to worry about paying for taxes through trade lines and paying for coal and things like that to come through, now we got money we can just distribute amongst ourselves. These all came so that when it's all said and done, it said these have, did we start at verse 1? We started at 13. Right? It said these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. Alright, no, I'm sorry. It's and it said, in the beast that was and is not, verse 11, even he is of the 8th and the 7th word tradition. Okay. The 10 horns which thou saw are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet. So when it's all said and done, these 10 kings are going to be ruling over Europe. So it's going to be 10 nations. And actually right now they even pretty much whittling it down to what they call the 10, if you look it up. So it says they're down to 10 nations. And then it says, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So when it's all said and done, they're going to have that last hour during that 42-month period. Okay, but go ahead, verse 13.
These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast.
Go ahead.
These shall make war with the Lamb.
But notice who they making war with. See, this is how we know we're taking this all the way to the end, because they're making war with Jesus. He's the Lamb. Go ahead, read some more.
And the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful.
Go ahead, keep reading.
And he said unto me, the waters...
Oh, no, that's good. Let's skip over to verse 8. I mean, chapter 18 now. Chapter 18. Go ahead.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory.
Go ahead.
And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen.
So when it's all said and done, because remember we declared the end at the beginning, Babylon the Great is fallen. Go ahead.
Is fallen and is become the habitation of devils.
Go ahead.
And the hold of every foul spirit and a cage of every unclean and hateful
That's what's in Babylon. That's why we always saying America is Babylon now. But it's the whole world that's Babylon right now, because they rule the whole world. Europe ruled, the Gentile ruled this whole world. So he said it has become, he has become the foul habitation of the devil and the hold of every foul spirit and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Go ahead, verse 3.
For all nations...
Notice what it said, all the nations have done what?
Have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her.
Go ahead.
And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of delicacy.
That's why they advertising Christmas already, because they getting rich off of the abundance of her delicacies. The Christmas. As we know, that's the worship of the sun god. They were scared that the sun was dying, so they would try to, bring their God back through a celebration when the soul starts. So they get rich. All the kings and all the nations have drunk of the wine. This is what we saw that woman was holding in her hand in Revelation 17. But go ahead, read some more.
And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people.
So what we've been told to do, brothers and sisters, is come out of this woman. Come out of this system. This evilness that's been declared upon us for us to do. Come out of that. Come out of your going to church on Sunday. Come out of your, dealing with your Easter eggs and having your kids dressed up with bunny ears going out, hunting for color decorated eggs on Easter. Ain't got nothing to do with Jesus, no way. Easter's and bunnies. You know what bunnies is about? That's about having a bunch of babies, because that's what bunnies do. Rabbits have a bunch of kids. They even got a saying, messing, using that, dealing with that type of subject. Because that's what that's about. It ain't got nothing about to do with Jesus and his death. And besides, what you get 3 days and 3 nights from Friday to Sunday anyway? They say he resurrected on Sunday. How you get 3 days and 3 nights? That's all a lie, brothers and sisters. So you got to come out of that stuff. Okay? But go ahead and read some more.
For her sins have reached unto heaven.
You see, it said her sins have reached unto heaven. Go ahead.
And God hath remembered her iniquities.
He forget about it. Go ahead.
Reward her even as she rewarded you. And double unto her double according to her works.
Let's skip down to verse 9.
And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning.
Go ahead.
Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city of Babylon, that mighty city, For in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
When it's all said and done, it's like that's what it's going to be like. In 1 hour, your judgment going to come. Go ahead.
And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore.
Go ahead. We talking, this is really once the Lord has returned. He's like, ain't gonna be nobody buying from her no more. It's a wrap for her when he come back. Go ahead.
The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk.
Let's get down to verse 16. Go ahead.
And saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors, and as many as trade by sea stood afar off.
Okay. You can read the rest of that on your own. It's just really just showing you how, when it's all said and done, when you look at this woman, everybody that was getting rich off her, when it's all said and done, they're gonna be looking like, oh, I see what you was on. You was all wrong. Talking about that church. Because when the Lord come back, He's gonna establish His own church here. And you're gonna see the truth of the matter. Let's move over here to Jeremiah 51. So we're almost done. We got 3 more after this. It ain't not as long as they look. We're not gonna make it that long. We'll cut it up a little bit. Trying to keep us inside the time period. But I kind of knew we was gonna probably move over this 2 hours. Jeremiah 51. Jeremiah 51. Definitely gotta read this though. Yeah, and this is the same book that we read earlier where it was told that Nebuchadnezzar was going to rule the world. And that the kings was going to rule, was going to attach themselves to him. Jeremiah 51, and pick it up in verse 7. When you get there, read verse 6. Go ahead.
Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her recompense. So
this is what you supposed. This is why we learned about Babylon and who it is. Because He's saying, look, flee out of the midst of Babylon, deliver every man his soul. Don't be cut off with her and her iniquities. Don't get caught up out there with them in the streets. You're supposed to know. That's why it saddens me when I hear about people getting, like I heard about a brother and he knew about this word and he died on a Friday night out there in the streets. You know what I'm saying? That really made me sad. I'm like, hey man, you was out there with them. You know better than that. Don't get caught up with them like that because the Lord will jam you up. Go ahead, verse 7.
Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand.
So you notice here, we saw what was in that cup. We're saying Babylon was actually a golden cup in the Lord's hand. Go ahead, we're going to see why.
That made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad.
Right.
Babylon is...
Basically, the Lord was ready. When it's all said and done, the Lord had to have somebody who was going to come back and smash. So He was like, this was just a cup in my hand. I was just setting you up for failure. You didn't have to do this. It's what you chose to do. Go ahead, read some more.
Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her. Take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed.
Go ahead, read some more.
We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies.
Go ahead.
The Lord hath brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us declare in Zion the work of the Lord our God. Make it bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord hath raised up the spirit of the king of the Medes, for his devices against Babylon to destroy it.
See, because when it's all said and done in the end, that's the Russians or the Medes, they gonna come back down on Rome. This is the part of Babylon that we're dealing with here now. They're gonna come down on Rome at the very end. Go ahead, read some more.
For his devices against Babylon to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple.
Keep reading.
Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen, prepare the ambushes. For the Lord hath both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon.
Go ahead.
O thou that dwellest upon many waters, abundant treasures, thine end is coming.
So he's just telling you, because remember we declared the end at the beginning. He's like, your end gonna come, Babylon. Go ahead.
and the measure of thy covetousness. That the Lord of hosts has sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men as with caterpillars, and they shall lift up a shout against thee.
Okay, let's go over here to let's go over to Isaiah 13. Let's skip to 47. You're gonna have to do some homework, y'all. Isaiah 14, chapter 13. So when it's all said and done, we seeing here Babylon is getting destroyed. And we seeing the destroyer is the Lord. He even gonna rise up the Medes against Babylon. And that's what come down to it at the end. You know, when we talking about Rome and the EU and what they're gonna be doing, where the Chinese and the Russians, the Chinese gonna run with the Medes and they gonna meet up to battle against this Babylon. They were never down with Babylon to start with. That's what he used to take Babylon out as a nation to start with. He used the Medes. Just something to think about. Revelation 13, pick up in verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amoz did see, lift ye up a banner upon the high mountain. Exalt the voice unto them. Shake the hand, and that they may go into the gates of the noble.
Go ahead.
I have commanded my sanctified ones. I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host of the battle.
Go ahead.
They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land.
So he's talking about getting rid of this Babylon. And this is what we was reading a little bit before. He said, I'm going to send the Medes against them. I'm going to send the Russians against them. That's why I had made sure that we put it up there somewhere at some point. That's who the Medes were, the Russians. So he said, I'm going to send the Russians against this final Babylon, which we understand to be wrong. Alright, so he's showing you this battle coming about. Go ahead, keep reading.
Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand.
But he calling this the day of the Lord when he smashed the Rome, or this last Babylon. Go ahead.
It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt.
Okay.
And they shall be afraid.
Now let's get down to verse 17.
Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them.
So we can say the Russians. Remember, we started this chapter off the burden of Babylon. So he's saying, I'm going to stir up the Medes against, or the Russians against them, against Rome. Go ahead.
Which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it.
They ain't gonna care about your money. They want blood. Go ahead, read some more.
Their bows also shall dash the young man to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb.
Go ahead.
Their eyes shall not spare children.
Verse 19.
And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when God overthrows Sodom and Gomorrah.
So he's saying when it's all said and done, this old beautiful Babylon is going to be overthrown like how he overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It's going to be ugly for Babylon. He's going to bring the Medes upon them. But let's go over to chapter 14 now. Pick up verse 1 and then we're going to skip through. We got one more after this. Go ahead.
For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel.
See, that's what people miss about the whole thing. Y'all trying to rule the world from the wrong spot. The Lord said, I'm going to have mercy on Israel, on Jacob. I have chosen Jacob. I'm going to have mercy on Israel. Y'all been trying to rule the world from 200 miles north of the perfect location. So he's saying this is where it's going to end up being. Go ahead.
And set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
Skip down to verse 3.
And it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow, and from thy fear, and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve.
Go ahead.
That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. So
when it's all said and done, he's saying you're going to take up this proverb against Babylon. How has this oppressor ceased? See, Babylon has been oppressing the whole world, not just here in America. We talking about Africa. Babylon done oppressed all of that. They own that. Rome do. Europe does. You know, they done went over into India. They down and off. The only place Europe can't seem to get a strong hold in is in Russia and in China. Hey, they even got a piece of Japan every now and again. You know, but the main place they cannot get a stronghold in is those two. Other than that, they rule this whole world. All right, go ahead and read some more.
The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked.
But when it's all said and done, he said, I don't broke the staff of Europe. Go ahead.
And the scepter of the rulers.
Go ahead. You right, go ahead.
He who smote the people in the wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger, is persecuted and none hinder it.
Right, and that's when we're talking about Babylon. When it's all said and done, Babylon is over with. By the Medes. That's what we got here. But let's go to our last page, Jeremiah chapter 50. This is really where the prophecy started. You know, we saw something in Isaiah where he told Hezekiah how he was going, you know, you showing him all the riches you got, but they gonna come take it. They gonna be yours. We saw that. But the real prophecy was told in Jeremiah when we looked at that 25, when it said that Nebuchadnezzar, you was gonna rule over all the nations and all the kings was gonna serve you. So the beginning and the end of Nebuchadnezzar, the final Babylon, the mysterious Babylon, the one that people thought is dead but really is still alive through Rome and through Rome's kings. All right, this is where we get this at. Jeremiah chapter 50, pick it up at verse 1. When you get there, go ahead.
The word that the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet.
Go ahead.
Declare ye among the nations.
See, this is how, you know, this is how we know we're not dealing with that first Babylon. He said against Babylon and the Chaldeans. The Chaldeans, this is the Gentile group. This is not the Assyrians or the Hamitic group. Go ahead, read some more. And
publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not.
Make sure you let this know. Let this be known about Babylon. Declare ye among the nations. Publish. Set this up as a standard. Go ahead.
Say, Babylon is taken. Bel is confounded.
Go ahead.
Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Her images are broken in pieces.
Why is that?
For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her.
See, they came from the north to Jerusalem. He said, but out of the north, and you gonna come up a nation against you. We're talking about the Medes. We're talking about the Russians. That's who's gonna be the last one to smash Rome when it's all said and done. Go ahead.
Which shall make her land desolate.
Make your land desolate. Go ahead.
And none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast.
Go ahead.
In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Lord their God.
Funny how when it's all said and done, the Lord still bring, he talking about Babylon and the burden that's going to come on them. He's still bringing Israel into the equation. You know, when it's all said and done. This is people. This is apple of his eye. But go ahead.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come.
They should ask the way, like, how did you get to Zion? With their faces toward it. And they're going to say, come. Go ahead.
Come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from the mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place.
Go ahead.
All that found them have devoured them. And their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against the Lord, the habitation of justice, even the Lord, the hope of their fathers.
Go ahead.
Remove out of the midst of Babylon, and go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the he-goats before the flock.
Why is that?
For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon and an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain.
Let's skip over to verse 12.
Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert.
Go ahead.
Because of the wrath of the Lord, it shall not be inhabited, but it shall be wholly desolate. Everyone that goeth by Babylon shall be astonished and hiss at her place.
So really what he's saying is, you know how they did us now? When it's all said and done, that's how it's going to be on Rome. That's how it's going to be on what we know as Babylon. He going to smash them, and then you're going to be looking like, dang, was this the government that ruled the world? You know, like, dang, this, because you're going to be looking toward Israel now, when it's all said and done. So that's all the Lord is saying, that look, you know, the way it is now, it's just wrong. And how you see life now is just wrong. Babylon is ruling the world, but it's wrong. The Lord is going to rule the world. And he going to rule with Israel as his bride, not Babylon the whore. That's what he said. And I'm going to smash this Babylon when it's all said and done. How you looked at Israel, that's how you going to look at them. But go ahead, finish up. Where we at? Verse what? 14. Go ahead.
Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. And all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord.
Go ahead.
Shout against her shout against her round about. She hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down. For it is the vengeance of the Lord that take vengeance upon her, as she hath done. Do unto her.
Go ahead.
Cut off the sower from Babylon, and him that handled the sickle in the time of the harvest. For fear of their oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land. Okay. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I hope we got a more clear understanding of Babylon. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, the same Babylon that started at the Tower of Babel. That same Babylon moved from Nimrod and Hammurabi all the way over to Nebuchadnezzar. And that Babylon went from Nebuchadnezzar to the Medes, to the Persians, to the Greeks, to the Romans. And once it became Rome, Rome lived in and out, year behind year, until the last days, which is now where the Lord gonna send the Medes up against it to meet at the Battle of Armageddon. We ain't see all that today. To meet at the Battle of Armageddon. And that's where it's gonna be the final destruction of that Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. We saw some of the things Babylon gave us. They gave us Sunday. They gave us Christmas. We saw some of that stuff in the history books. And they still here to this day. So, brothers and sisters, I hope we got some type of understanding. God declaring the end from the beginning, the great mystery, Babylon. And I thank you for your time.
But you'll never find anything that will suffice. Oh no, ain't nothing out there for you. So what you gonna do? Ain't nothing out there for you. Oh no. Come on, y'all, rock with me. Israel, be strong. Don't lose what you got. It's too close to quit now.